Welcome everybody to the program EdTech Mondays Nigeria, brought to you by the MasterCard Foundation in partnership with Co-Creation Hub Limited. The EdTech Mondays is a platform to facilitate critical conversations on the use of technology for teaching and learning by bringing together key stakeholders, including policymakers, EdTech entrepreneurs, teachers, and of course, parents. Thank you all so much for joining us on the show this wonderful Monday. My name is Joyce Daniels, social engineering practitioner, and I am your usual host. Our topic today is access to digital resources. Access to digital resources. You know, the COVID-19 pandemic forced school closures across the continent, triggering the widespread adoption of remote learning, including through digital platforms. Yet, these approaches have faced significant challenges and underscored long-standing inequities in access to digital educational resources. This digital divide puts the educational and economic prospects of Nigerian youths in jeopardy. But what will it take to address these issues? We would love to hear from you, our listeners. Tell us what you think. Respond to this by joining our Telegram channel, EdTech Mondays Nigeria. You can also send us a text or WhatsApp message on 0703 165 0809. I'll take it again, 0703 165 0809. Let us know what you think. On this edition of EdTech Mondays, our panelists will discuss key points on access to digital resources in Nigeria. Allow me to welcome our panelists. We have with us Mr. Gideon Olanrewaju, who is the Chief Innovation Officer of DigiLearns and the Chief Executive Director of Aid for Rural Education Access Initiative, which are two Nigerian-based education-focused entities that design and implement quality alternative formal and non-formal educational opportunities for out-of-school children, leveraging on innovation, technology, and collaboration. Mr. Olanrewaju, welcome.
Thank you very much, Joyce. It's so great to be here.
Glad to have you. Also with us today is Mr. Bankole Alao, who is a technology business leader with more than 15 years of product innovation and growth experience in technology, OTT media, and telecommunications sectors combined, with hands-on systems and software engineering experience. Mr. Alao has recorded results in innovative product management, OTT video monetization, marketing strategy, execution, and digital transformation, and so much more. He has been described as an exceptional team leader with strong concept development skills, budget management, and creative communication campaign skills using a mix of channels. Currently, he works with Airtel Networks Limited as general manager, overseeing digital content and innovation, where his team has, in partnership with startups, rolled out education technology services, amongst others, which has impacted the lives of learners in the millions over the past 2 years. Welcome, Mr. Alao.
Hi, how are you?
Also with us is Mr. Kayode Adewale, who has degrees in mathematics and economics from the Tai Solarin College of Education and Tai Solarin University of Education. His major objective as a teacher is to contribute his quota to the educational transformation in Nigeria by using 21st century skills. He is a Goga master trainer with over 20 inquiry learning spaces. He's a member of the virtual learning teachers, also known as Ogun DigiClass, which is for content creation and transmission on Ogun State Television. Mr. Adewale is a master trainer in the use of Microsoft Teams and in classroom usage, a research designer, a program evaluator, a trained research methodologist, and he won the prestigious Ogun State Governor's Teachers Excellence Award in the senior secondary school category for the year 2020. Welcome, Mr. Adewale. Glad to have you here with us.
Nice having you here. Thank you.
So in a study by Olatoyan, Osheni, and Ogundele of 2014 on schools' access to technology, there should be an enabling environment for the integration of ICT and a consistent source of electricity and internet all of which are lacking in most schools in Nigeria. In that same study, they found that about 65% of schools in Nigeria don't have access to electricity at all. And 62.2% of students reported computers in their schools are not connected to the internet. So, Mr. Alao, allow me ask you, please, when it comes to ensuring digital resources, there is a myriad of barriers. The internet is just one of them. What do we need to do to ensure that all schools are connected?
The internet is a barrier. Connectivity and access are definitely a barrier to adoption of digital learning. And that we all can see and we all agree with. COVID has exacerbated that one for certain over the last year and a half. However, tackling the problem is not just a connectivity solution, if I may use that. To really solve the problem involves a mix of various moving parts. So the connectivity is one key part. The device is another key part. Making those devices affordable and available is another key part. The actual content is even more critical in the sense that if you have those first two levers or those first two pillars that we just mentioned, meaning the connectivity and the device, but you don't have the right content or you don't have the standardized content, then you're not going to succeed. So my opinion is, and this is the position of most informed people, is that to really solve this problem, you have to have a multi-stakeholder approach. Private sector, public sector, not-for-profits as well, where everyone comes together and decides to run in multiple parallel tracks a set of solutions or a set of programs that can help achieve those goals in a phased approach. You see, setting those targets should not be done in a way where you're setting unreasonable and never to be achieved kind of targets. If we agree that we are tackling, say, primary education, then we face primary education and we really settle it. Once we know we've done that, then we know that the batch of students growing from primary into secondary already have the right foundations, and we know that we are not going to be lagging behind. So a multi-stakeholder approach that takes into account the device, that takes into account connectivity, that takes into account the actual content that people need to be consuming, the actual resources, and in the right format, in the standardized format that is geared towards success in whatever examination boards or programs that these classes are set up for, is how I would recommend for it to be done.
Mr. Olanrewaju, please help us with this. We have to recognize that we are talking about digital resources in context where children are sometimes not attaining basic literacy and numeracy skills. How do we then deal concurrently with some of these issues?
Illiteracy and the numeracy are key challenges that we have right now in Nigeria, that beyond just access to online learning, conventional classroom learning is also being affected, because the foundation of current learning and lifelong learning is the ability to read, write, and do basic arithmetic. That means that if children are unable to access or even have these foundational skills, it will be very difficult for them to access or use or develop knowledge that are obtainable from digital resources. I think one of the things that needs to be done to start with will be to ensure that we can mass educate many of these children using a model that enables them to learn in languages that they are familiar with. But that would not mean that we are disagreeing with the fact that illiteracy many a times does not refer to inability to speak and write English. Many a times it can also be equated to the inability to engage in their mother tongue, right? However, there is a bilingual model of instruction that enables these children, that also proves that children are 75% across their early childhood age able to engage verbally and concurrently in their mother tongue. Now, the reality of this can also inform the design of digital resources. when we design digital resources, do we contextualize based on the local realities of these children? If they are unable to read, write, or do basic arithmetic in English, how about we engage them in their mother tongue? So leveraging the potential or significance of bilingual model of instruction can inform the design of resources. And when we have contextual resources, we can go ahead to design solutions that are applicable to the context of these children. Now, to close out, I will talk about the fact that there are many or different kinds of digital resources. And for those in rural communities where we know that the problem of illiteracy and innumeracy is predominant, leveraging on the power of massive open online courses, which we call MOOCs, or the use of open educational resources, OERs, have continually demonstrated to play a significant role. So if we want to advance access to digital resources and equitable use of these resources, perhaps we can focus attention on these two types of resources that is possible to present materials and resources in the local language or the mother tongue of the students that can neither read or write or do basic arithmetic. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you. Major takeaway for me is let's create more solutions in more languages that the children can connect with very easily, or well, more like the students and learners can connect with, right? Thank you so much, Mr. Olanrewaju. I would like to take this question over to Mr. Adewale, and also Mr. Olanrewaju, you can chip in. Now, Halima and Sophia in 2014 mentioned that non-influencing environment is a major factor affecting the adoption of e-learning. Irregular and frequently interrupted power supply is a persistent problem in Nigeria, which affects almost every aspect of the economy, including education. So many parts of the country are not connected to the national grid and so on. The cost of hardware and the maintenance costs are also contributing factors. So the question is, Mr. Adewale, we can start with you. What do you see as some of the other key barriers we need to overcome in order to provide equitable access to digital resources, and what steps can we take toward overcoming them?
Thank you, moderator. Thank you, Ma. Firstly, let's look at what digital resources is all about. Okay, so the digital resources could be referred to applications such as software, program, website that engage students in learning activity and support student learning goals. And it could also be like a kind of a simulation, model, graphic, animation, quizzes, game, ebooks that are making learning more accessible, engaging, and contextualized. So one of the chief barriers we need to overcome to provide equitable access to digital resources in developing countries like Nigeria is affordability. A large group of people cannot access internet because of the high cost involved. And the cost of the smartphone, laptops, computer are expensive. And this is the realization of the fact that technology is the basic need in this age. To help this, we can offer financial assistance to lower income earners in order to afford this new technology. And this can be done by government and other well-meaning individuals. And this can also be done in form of subsidized to encourage the learners and educators to buy these digital tools. We can also, network provider can also give free access to educative platform, just like Facebook is doing now. You can access Facebook without data. So if educators or teachers want to access some of these things, you can make an educative platform, you can make it free so that people, people can go there and do that. Then also, erratic electricity supply is another major barrier to provide equitable access to digital resources. We need to appeal to our government, government of Nigeria, to see to this, that regular electricity supply form their major policy making. Again, limited understanding of digital resources by a lot of learners and majorities of teachers constitutes yet another barrier we need to overcome in order to provide equitable access to digital resources. And the public need to be educated on the benefits and the values of utilizing digital resources. And this education or enlightenment can be done in form of teacher development program. Like I said, I'm part of the team that's involved in Ogun DigiClass. So Ogun State government and other governments in Nigeria, other federal Ministry of Education agency are trying their best in organizing a kind of a teacher development program for teachers, to create a kind of awareness of digital resources. Then lastly, lack of relevant content. According to research, The top barrier to digital resources in developing countries like Nigeria is relevance. And this is because in most cases, people cannot find content, online services or web or mobile application in our primary language. Moreover, most people in rural areas lack the necessary prerequisite education to understand a lot of online content. Like when we are doing Ogun DigiClass, like I said, I was fortunate to be among the team. There are some local government that are shouting, oh, you just need to come down to our level. There are some gadgets you cannot get. There are some things you cannot get because they lack the relevant content. So to encourage such people, local content and application need to be developed in local languages that can be understood by the local popular. Besides this, privacy and trust and other securities issues that tend to scare many potential users, like students, need to be addressed by formulating policy and framework. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adewale. Mr. Olanrewaju, do we have anything else to add to that?
Interestingly, I do not have, but I just want to make something quite submittive. There are 4 major barriers according to the World Bank and OECD that contribute to equitable access to digital resources. The first one is access, the second one is cost, the third one is infrastructural deficiency, and the last one is lack of digital capabilities. Now I'm going to focus on 2 things, right? Lack of digital capabilities, which can somewhat mean that the ability to use and leverage the availability of digital resources is not there, right? My organization recently completed a project in partnership with the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. We went across 24 communities, across 6 states in every geopolitical zone in Nigeria. We conducted surveys to understand what are those leading factors that prevent students, learners, and teachers from accessing or leveraging digital tools. And one of the things, or digital resources generally, one of the things that we saw would be that there is a sense of receptiveness from the part of the government. And I will interpret that to lack of stakeholders buy-in. We are in the 21st century where there is being a continuous echo of the significance of digital economy. However, how many states in Nigeria has a very clear-cut understanding of how they can mainstream digital economy into their state development strategy? Although we have that on the global, on the national stage, we have NITDA under the Federal Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy, promoting the acquisition of digital skills. However, one significant step we can take would be that every single state must understand that there is a clear-cut need of integrating the acquisition of digital skills and capabilities. And when I mean digital skills, I'm not talking about digital literacy. I'm talking about government officials, school administrators, education stakeholders, teachers developing an awareness. It starts from there, digital awareness. Once we can get that done, I believe we can go a long way to ensure that digital adoption and widespread usage of digital resources can be achieved. The other one I would say, as I leave that, would be infrastructural development. I think my other colleague was trying to buttress on it, but I think that quite a number of things that will facilitate that. While we talk about household access to internet, is different from facilitating community level access to digital resources. And trust me, while we might not be able to address immediate and individual access, right? Because people will say, I want to survive before I want to eat, before I buy data, before I buy a smartphone that will require connecting. Even when my organization built a solution that works on feature phones, a huge complaint was about, I would rather buy 100 Naira Indomie noodles to eat, rather than buying an 100 Naira recharge card to eat that, to buy noodles and then eat.
To buy
exactly. So it is really important that government can invest in community level infrastructural development, whereby you can have a community ICT hub where teachers, students, even parents, right, can go. Because one of the factors that has not been well defined is how do parents support their children to actually go on to leverage and use the internet or e-learning to study, right? E-learning tools to study. So when we have those facilities available at community levels, absolutely, we can also, promote, a widespread usage of digital resources to ensure that we can get a digitally literate society like we have always, clamored for, and we have seen by the experiences during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you both. I have one last question for our speakers, and then we would also have engagements from our listeners on our Telegram channel, and WhatsApp. So final question, same for Mr. Olanrewaju and Mr. Adewale. To have a good idea of the education landscape in the country, including how that is changing in the light of COVID-19, we need strong education management information systems. Would access to digital resources automatically mean we could have an adequate education management information system? What are the challenges we face in building and maintaining such systems? I know you've mentioned some, but we'd like you to shed more light. And what can we do about those challenges? Let me start with you, Mr. Olanrewaju, and then Mr. Adewale.
Awesome, thank you very much. I think one of the things that we need to pay attention to would be the distinction between formal education systems and informal education systems. The application of EMIS,
yes,
as it's popularly being referred to within the formal education system, is very, very applicable within the formal education system, right? As far as I'm concerned, we are seeing some, external stakeholders talk of digital tools platform like, DigiLearns, for example, or private schools now leveraging. But everything comes to one point. The first one would be capacity, right? Capacity. Many a times individuals that operate or design these systems can be deficient in the understanding of what exactly is being needed to put together that system, right? And I do say something. Now I'm speaking particularly about those that operate digital learning innovations as well as private school owners, right? Designing effective MEs will start from equipping individuals with the usage, right? How do you use the system, right? So while the understanding of the system can inform effective usage, it also boils down to those who would design it. So there's a connection between the understanding of the system at the point of design and the understanding of the system at the point of usage. There needs to be a connection for that. Now, there are three things that makes up the formal education system according to Ken Robinson. Teaching, assessment, and curriculum, right? Teaching, assessment, and curriculum. And even with the non-formal system, the same thing is applicable. What needs to happen for an effective MEs will be that there is a connection between the three components. And MEs must be able to, foster the administration of teaching, must be able to foster the administration of curricula, and must be able to foster that one of assessment. If we can get that right, and it connects those three components, right, I think we're going to have effective MEs system. Now there are some institutions. Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Kayode Adewale, please. Let's hear your intervention.
Thank you, moderator. Firstly, let's first of all, what do we mean by MEs? An educational management information system can be defined as a system for collection, integration, process, maintenance, dissemination of data information to support decision-making, policy analysis, formulation, planning, monitoring, and management at all levels of education system. The benefit of this, of putting all this together or integrating them in some of these things, the first one is the provision of quality information to decision maker. That's the main focus. Then the quick identification of the important issue to be addressed. Then the support policy planning, provision of insight towards sector management, the supply of general information for research and other government purposes. So there are many challenges in building and maintaining MEs. And one of the major challenges is designing systems that are competitive. When we are talking about design, yes, the designing system, some of these developers, like when we started the school management solution that I was talking about, we faced a lot of things. Because by the time you deploy it to some school may come and be telling you that, oh, this is not how we operate. This is not how we set up this thing. So there is need for one to know, to get the designing system. That's the major thing. Then another thing is creating an information architecture that supports the organization. You need to know the goals of that organization. And we need this for schools. We need school survey. We need people, we need a kind of a consultant, an experienced developer who will work in hand with school manager, education officer in designing some of these things. So you can't just come up with something that will not, meet up with the goals of that organization, especially in the education sector. Because if you develop a kind of education management information system that is not, that did not capture what the school leader or the school proprietors need, you may likely be using it on your own. So we have many challenges, other challenges like designing the system that people can control. Many of these developers, they are, their education level in terms of knowing how to run schools is not there. So you have to, you need a kind of a developer who can work with school, get information, so that by the time you build the education management information system, you have to get something that they will understand, then that will be used in a socially and ethical, responsible manner. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lots of solutions for us to take home, chew on, and find ways to implement. We'd love to hear from you, our listeners. Respond to this by joining our Telegram channel, EdTech Mondays Nigeria. And you can also send us a text or WhatsApp message on 0703-165-0809. Let us know what you think. Our panelists have brought us incredible solutions for management of educational systems, for development, for growth, and how to deploy EdTech solutions in best way possible. Mr. Gideon Olanrewaju, thank you so much for being here. Mr. Bankole Alao, thank you very much for being with us. And Mr. Kayode Adewale, we look forward to having you on the show again some other time. My name is Joyce Daniels, and I've been your regular host. I hope to see you same time, or well, have you here with us, same time, same station, on EdTech Mondays Nigeria. Bye for now.